Well, let's bring in three members-elect of the new Parliament, and they are not strangers. Adam Van Koeverden was re-elected for the Liberals in the Ontario riding of Milton. Eric Duncan was re-elected for the Conservatives in the Ontario riding of Stormont, Dundas, South Glengarry. And Heather McPherson was re-elected for the NDP in the riding of Edmonton, Strathcona. It's good to see you all, and congratulations in order for all of you. You'll be coming back to Parliament Hill to represent your constituents, so congratulations. Mr. Van Koeverden, let me start with you. After a 36-day campaign that was often divisive, marked by personal attacks on a number of different days, it's a $600 million election price tag, and we have another parliament, a minority parliament, that looks almost identical to the last one. So how was this exercise worthwhile?
Well, thanks, Peter. And before I answer your question, I'd just like to say congratulations to my friends Eric and Heather. It is nice to be on the show with them, as we have been before. But it's also nice to express to viewers at home that we are actually friends and we do get along. And whether or not we, throw a couple of tomatoes on TV at each other, we are friendly and collaborate in the House of Commons. I think that it was really important that we asked Canadians which direction they wanted to go in. They had options and choices, and some people have characterized this election as unnecessary, but I don't think I'm ever willing to characterize democracy as unnecessary or wasteful. I think this was an important exercise. Our government dealt with COVID-19 well, and it landed on our plates in a sense, but in 2019 it wasn't on the ballot box, and it is and was for 2021. So asking Canadians how they want to get away from COVID-19, how they want to beat COVID-19 forever, was certainly the theme of this election, and they made the choice to go forward.
All right, well, we'll come back to exactly how we should interpret these results, because they're the same results as the last Parliament, but that'll come up in our conversation. Mr. Duncan, I know Conservatives questioned repeatedly the need for this election, and now we have another minority government, but there is a message in these results for every party. You're all right back where you were, largely, being told to carry on with where you were at. Why do you think the Conservatives weren't able to win more seats?
Well, Peter, thanks for the congrats on our re-election, and kudos to Heather and to Adam as well. Look, I think the situation, you're right, the frustration from Canadians. We had this unnecessary election in the middle of the fourth wave. We had the situation of wildfires in BC, the Afghan deterioration and the issues in the country there were quite severe. And this added, again, another reason why Canadians were wondering why we're having an election. The cost is $600 million, and the result is very much the same. So I think we look at today, I think it was wrong for Justin Trudeau to call the election. I said that before the results came in, and even more so today when they see the similar result. But I think the best part, this is that it's a minority government. We are able to hold the Liberals to account. Right. And there's a lot of things for accountability and transparency. I think I go back, Peter, what we were talking about before.
Mr. Duncan, just a moment. What I'm asking is how come the Conservatives couldn't win more seats?
Well, we picked up some seats in Atlantic Canada. We picked some seats up in Ontario and lost in others. And I think it was certainly tough. I mean, Aaron's did very well in the campaign. I think he performed very well. But a lot of Canadians didn't know who he was even 36 days ago. And so for us to have the success that we have, the popular vote, for example, and pick up seats in different regions, I think is a success in itself. We can't complain about those factors.
Okay. Heather McPherson, you've now got company in Edmonton with a second new Democrat, Blake Desjardins, elected in the province in Edmonton and Griesba. But overall, the New Democrats are stalled here. Jagmeet Singh made a pitch for more seats to have even more sway in holding the Liberals to account in Ottawa. That didn't work. He got one extra seat. Why do you think the most popular leader hasn't been able to win more seats for the party?
Mm-hmm. Well, great question. And I mean, obviously, I have to say congratulations to my colleagues as well for being on the call with us today and joining us back in Ottawa. What I saw in Edmonton, of course, we did pick up that seat with Blake Desjardins. He is a phenomenal MP. We're really excited about that, which means in Alberta, and I know this is only from 1 to 2, but we've doubled our numbers in Alberta, which is pretty spectacular. But more important, I think what we saw, almost to a candidate, our growth in the number of votes that we received was pretty spectacular, particularly in Alberta, particularly in Edmonton. I think that we did lose a little bit of that momentum with the scare tactics that we saw coming, from both sides. We often hear that if you vote for the NDP, that bad guys will win, and frankly, I can't tell the difference between the bad guys sometimes.
All right, Adam Van Koeverden, what do you think is the message you've been sent by the voters? Your leader wanted a majority. The voters said, no, not now. But Justin Trudeau says he's been given a clear mandate to govern. More than 2/3 of the voters voted for other parties. So just how clear is that mandate, and what obligations do you think you have to work with the opposition parties?
Well, I think the mandate is extremely clear, and I'd build on what Heather said with respect to the result in Alberta by congratulating 4 members from progressive parties who are joining the House of Commons, 2 of whom are Liberals in George Cahal and Randy Boissonnault, which is extremely exciting because now Alberta is indeed represented by the 3 major parties. And I think that's a huge step forward. I'd also say that it seems, based on the results that I've seen, that an overwhelming number of Canadians voted for progressive platforms on climate change, progressive platforms on changes to our housing strategy so that we can continue to ensure that every Canadian has a safe and affordable place to live, but also on some deeper issues like guns, which seem to be dominate the narrative throughout this election. And there's a very clear choice that so many Canadians made, whether they were voting Green, NDP, or Liberal, that a progressive path forward was the one that they wanted to take.
Okay, Mr. Duncan, how will these results affect the way Conservatives do their jobs? You do your job as the official opposition, since voters clearly were not prepared to make you the government. So will you continue to oppose $10 a day childcare and more ambitious climate targets when that's what voters clearly have opted for here?
Well, one of the things that, Peter, I think on about 3 hours sleep from last night and picking up lawn signs for 7 hours so far today, there's going to be a lot of time to digest the policies and the analysis of it, of what's going to go ahead. I think the thing now is we got a strong opposition mandate. We had good results in the popular vote. Again, we gained in certain regions as well, and I think there's a message there as well. So we are going to work to hold this government to account. We ran on a recovery plan to get the economy fired back up, to get people back to work, to get ourselves through COVID. So the things you saw us talk about during the campaign are things we're going to be advocating for in Parliament. I got that mandate in Stormont, Dundas, South Glengarry, and nearly 115, 117, whatever the number is as it goes back and forth. We're going to have other colleagues that are doing the same thing as well. Okay. So, our message resonated in certain parts of the country. The popular vote says something, and we'll continue to do our job as a strong opposition to hold the government to account.
Heather McPherson, will we see the NDP support the Liberals again in all those confidence votes to keep the minority government afloat?
Frankly, the NDP will do whatever is in the best interest of Canadians. We have no interest in propping up any government that isn't going to follow through on the promises they've made. Justin Trudeau called an election that didn't need to be called. As you know, in Alberta, there is an enormous pressure on our healthcare system as the 4th wave is hitting. We've seen the impacts of bad governance at our provincial level. We'll continue to work with the Liberals if they're prepared to move forward on childcare, finally give Canadians the childcare they promised, move forward on pharmacare, move forward on taxing the wealthy, move forward on those things that are important to Canadians, important to New Democrats.
Right.
Absolutely, then we'll continue to
some of those things, or all of those things?
Well, we will wait and see. I'm not the one that's going to be negotiating that, but certainly I think if Justin Trudeau can promise things in a 36-day campaign, he can follow through with those things. He's not always so great at doing that, but I hope he's better at it this government.
Adam Van Koeverden, Justin Trudeau's gone from winning a majority in 2015 to back-to-back minorities. He could face some internal challenges now to his continued leadership. Do you think we'll see that?
I think the results speak for themselves, is that Canadians continue to have confidence in our government and continue to have confidence in the Liberal Party to deal with all of the important issues that I heard at the door and that I know that my colleagues heard at the door as well. And I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have a job to do. And my job, as my colleagues said, was given to me and trusted in me and my team here in Milton with a majority, I might say. And I do want to thank my voters in Milton for voting for me and ensuring that I can continue the work that I'm doing.
You think the Prime Minister is safe, that he'll choose his own timing of departure, that there won't be any push to try and move him out because of these election results? Okay.
No.
Mr. Duncan, Aaron O'Toole took a gamble with his party and the voters in moving the party to the centre. He promised a breakthrough in the GTA, didn't get it, increased the party's vote there by just over 1%. He didn't improve the seat count. He has less seats than Andrew Scheer won. So do you believe that gamble by Aaron O'Toole was the right one to move the party to the middle, or was that a mistake? And do you think he'll be challenged?
Well, I've supported Aaron as leader the whole way, and I think the fact he's had 1 year in a very challenging environment with COVID to get himself known to Canadians. And I think over the course of 36 days, the expectations at the beginning of the campaign and that final result, Aaron certainly became more known and gained more support and steam throughout that campaign. So I don't think we need to get into the process, Peter, of another leadership race. I think we need to focus. Justin Trudeau said we're going back to the polls as soon as 18 months. So I think we need to focus on making more progress. We made some progress. There's areas we need to do better in, obviously. But let's focus on that as a team and go forward. That's my opinion, and my view is going to be in the coming weeks and months.
All right. Heather McPherson, how concerned should Jagmeet Singh be about challenges to his leadership?
100% not concerned at all. Obviously, he was the most popular leader throughout this campaign. You know, he was the most popular federal leader in Alberta for portions of this campaign. That's fantastic. I think Canadians recognize that he is genuine, that he is honest, he is going to do what he says, and people trust him. So I can't wait to get back to work with Jagmeet.
All right, and we'll see you all when you're back here. I know you're working already, but we'll see you when you're back here working in your positions here in Parliament Hill. Good to see all of you, to speak with all of you, and again, congratulations to all of you, and take care.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
See you
Peter.
later,
Congrats,
everyone.
guys.